Welcome back to Inside Naija on top CHRICED Radio and Television. My name na Princess Anyana, and we don't show to take pieces most of the big victories them inside the news. Already, Femi Falana, Ogbonge lawyer with dey fight for people rights, they inside the news. Oga Emir Sanusi, they inside the news, and all of them just the poo mouth inside the things then where they go on for this country. And if you for listening to us, when they talk about wetin dey for front pages of newspapers, go yes, say even Senator Akpabio don't come out now. Continue to dey beg Nigerians, them say, I beg, make we continue to bear the pain, the hardship of today, because the enjoyment still dey come for front. And that's now wetin we really want put mouth inside for the big victories we'll go break down this morning. But I know waka alone, I get my Ogbonge Oga at the top, Sabi man, on top matter of development and economy. We go help us to take the yarn us color of in mind, yarn us waiting the belle on top 2 years after this president and this government don't sit down for chair. So I get Dayo Olaide, development analyst inside the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Princess, and thanks for having me.
Welcome to CHRICED Radio and Television.
A big pleasure. I know this conversation has been ongoing like forever, so I'm really excited to be here.
We are to. Thanks for the honor. So, sharply inside the matter what we talk, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu done the inside government for 2 years now. And first of all, based on a Nigerian where you be and where they look from outside, if you just give us your own personal like overview, your own thinking of this government and its doings inside the last 2 years.
So, it's a topic that I would like to look at from 2 points of view.
Please go ahead.
In form, okay, and in content.
Okay.
So,
when you say in form,
so in form,
uh-huh.
democracy has processes. Okay, so the fact that we've been able to have an executive, a legislature, a judiciary, there has been elections, there are processes of annual budget. I think we can say that we are following the dictates of democracy. So anyone can look at what has happened and say, "Oh, yes, we've not had a major crisis between government, between the different arms of government, between the parliament and the executive, between the executive and the judiciary. They're working." So to that extent, democracy is moving. But however, in content, you only need to speak to the average Nigerian, because ultimately, the measure of any governance, of any democracy, is in the living conditions of the people.
Yeah.
And living conditions here, it's not just about your physical appearance, it's the totality of the living condition of the average Nigerian. Is the average Nigerian able to freely express an opinion? Is the average Nigerian able to freely breathe, envision and express that? Is the average Nigerian having access to food? Can they go to school? Can they afford to stay healthy? When they go to the hospital, do they have access to that? And can they send their children to school? And even the kids that are sent to school, do they actually learn in school? Do they have the the protection and the that satisfaction and expectation that if I go to school, I will definitely also be able to return home. So these are different measures that we can decide to focus on beyond the political process that I think a lot of politicians would like us to stay on. As things stand, we have enough data to compare between 1999 and now, right? The living conditions of the average Nigerian are significantly deteriorated. Their earnings and what they earn can buy for them, it has deteriorated significantly. And please don't believe what I'm saying. Just go to the data. The data will confirm. Is the average Nigerian safer than he was 2019? 1999 to date? Again, don't believe what I'm saying, but just look at the data. number of people that get killed, number of people that disappeared, the fear level among Nigerians. So I think that, and we can, of course, not take this away from the policies that we have also seen by successive governments, including the current administration. So I will say that in the last 2 years, looking at the economic condition of the average Nigerian as the central measure for the performance of this government, I think the average, I'll score them very poorly.
Okay, so now, is this on the governments or on like the situation of the global situation, Nigerian situation? Is it on the government or on the global situation?
I think we will be running away from the reality by ignoring the influence of the global situation, which I think um, is evident for everyone. But at the same time, um, we cannot run away from the fact that we have a government that is properly constituted with access to resources, with powers that have been given by the sovereignty that enables them to be able to take decisions on their behalf. And so I will say that it will be unfair to basically give everything to what is happening globally. I will say 80% of the challenges that we are having should be placed squarely on the government.
Okay, now coming back to the government, immediately the president was being sworn in, he just stand up saying subsidy is gone. People no expect am. We don dey hear the church say they go comot am. Okay, go still reach June. Now on May 29, unexpectedly they comot am, nothing in place, you get. And from there, things for transport increase, food price increase, Nigerians begin to say, na wetin dem suffer be that. Wetin about this removal of subsidy? You really stand with it, or you feel say dem go allow am to continue?
Should we have continued with the subsidy? No. And I think Nigerians have gone through a period of no, yes, no, yes. All right. What subsidy was costing the country was more than what was more than the benefits that Nigerians were getting from it. The average Nigerians. You will have opportunity for a follow-on question. But my position has always been, I've come from, particularly using myself as an example, I've come from a period of no, it shouldn't be removed, to a point of yes, we should remove it, but we should remove it with wisdom. When the president in his inaugural speech announced subsidy is gone, right?
Yes.
My immediate reaction was this was not properly thought through. And I think the activities and the immediate effect proved me right. Because you don't announce such policy without having carefully thought through and put in place guardrails to mitigate potential impact on citizens. I think in my own world, and this is opinions that I've shared to within my friends circle, is that the government appeared to be following Naomi Klein's shock doctrine premise.
Okay.
And okay, so Naomi Klein's classic on how government implement tough policies is that they implement them fast, quickly, and it comes as a shock. So before citizens get the time to even let it sink in on one tough, difficult policy, you ram them with the next one. So they are still reeling from the effect of that first one and the second. You hammer the third one. Now, that's the account of Naomi Klein's shock doctrine. And so when you look at what the government did, boom, subsidy removal, boom, devaluation, and
tax.
it was as if they had that script and they were following that. And if you also go through that account of Naomi Klein's, the effect that we are seeing is exactly what happened.
So what's at the end?
So if you think you could wrap those policies without putting in place the guardrails, the necessary checks to mitigate the effect, citizens will definitely become devastated. The economy will be devastated. So while you are scoring high before the international agencies that have always pushed for this, the reality is that back home the people are hungry, the people are depressed, the economy is depressed, and the promise that there is going to be a turning point may never come. May never come. Because economic development is not rocket science. There has to be a process of thinking through, there has to be a process of implementation. And implementation is not just about we think this is the right thing, we'll roll it out. There is a process of you test, you pull back, you correct, you make corrections, you move to the next. That's how economic policies get to be implemented with the human face. Because there's no perfect policies anywhere that basically works positive all through. You implement, you realize there are gaps, you inject, you make amendments. But a situation where the government says we're going to remove subsidy, and then you suddenly realize transport, hoops, production cost, hoops, companies begin to pull out. Then you wrap that with devaluation. All of a sudden, someone that used to earn 500,000 naira, out of which he spends 30% on housing, 20% on feeding, suddenly 60 to 70% of your income is going to housing. So you find a situation where a significant number of your population get pulled down back into poverty. I think that is what has happened. And whether the administration likes it or not, they have to admit responsibility for that.
No, but the fact that the administration says, I feel your pain, get patient with us, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and even still, today, they still talk the same thing. Don't you think Nigerians should just be patient? Say, we're today impatient. We just want sharp, 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 sharp. Say, if we actually relax, we will begin to see the benefits of this. Putting in mind, say, Madam Wahala been come, do meeting with Presido, and she came out when she said to people, she said, the economy is stable now. Even Oga Yemi Kale came out, say, yes, it is stable. Like the fact, say, as in the value naira, it was 2,000, but now say, don't they between 1.4 something, 1.3 something, 1.5, say we don't be stable for that side. Don't you think that we should still be patient? Say truly, we will smile very soon.
Princess.
Ah.
So I go out, I come home, I come back home every day and I say to my madam, don't worry, things will be well. Okay? Then every day that I come back, I come home drunk. She sees me changing my wardrobe. I buy a new car. Okay? But she says, I need money to change my wardrobe. And I say, don't worry, things will be well. That is the context. That's the only way I can best describe the situation. Akpabio says Nigerians should be patient. The same Akpabio approved billions to be spent to purchase SUVs for Nigerians. President Tinubu says Nigerians should be patient. The same president has maintained he has kept his very long how should I describe it? Anyway, we have entourage that stretches probably the length of a field. He has kept that. The president continues to travel. Of course, Nigerians can justify it depending on which part of this aisle you are on. But Nigerian leaders cannot be saying to Nigerians, be patient. Nigerians are going hungry, but they are living life. In the last 2 years plus, the level of inequality has worsen. Don't take my words for it. Again, check the data. So if Nigerians must be patient, everybody must tighten their belt. Then Nigerians can be patient. That's one. Two, you cannot live in a system that is totally unpredictable. So if you are saying be patient, right, I should be able to see milestones, yardsticks that enables me to be able to say in the next 6 years, in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months, we expect this. This is what happens in the private sector. So if you come in as a boss and you inherit an organization that is going through turbulence, right? Your your management sets a target for you. That target becomes your measure of performance. This administration has denied every commitment they made, every political statement that was made during campaigns. They've denied it, right? So there are very limited bases for Nigerians to actually be able to say, what can we hold you accountable for? So when you also then turn around and say, be patient. Be patient for what? Be patient that in the next 6 months, right, your income will rise, or your purchasing power will get better, or you will become safer, or electricity will become more affordable, housing will become more affordable. So be patient for what? And for how long? I think that's the dilemma there. So when you ask that Nigerians be patient, I must add, Nigerians have been patient. Since 1999 to date, Nigerians have been extremely patient. The same set of Nigerians are patient with the administration from 1999 when they promised that, look, by 2007, housing will cost this. Uh, we've just lived through a series of administrations that have basically become used to using buzzwords. So 6-point agenda, 5-point agenda, 7-point agenda. If we have to go back, we probably will have a bucket load of agenda, and none of those agendas have actually transformed into tangible improvements or changes in the living conditions of Nigerians that Nigerians can put a touch on and say, okay, today, beginning from 1999 to date, the percentage of Nigerian roads that are paved better. I can move. I used to be able to travel with 3,000 naira on air flight. Take a flight from Lagos to Abuja. Now with 3,000 naira. Now with 250,000 naira, they probably won't take me from Abuja to Akwa Ibom. And you say Nigerians should be patient. If Nigerians are not patient, what can they do?
True. Okay. Femi Falana, still as we talk yesterday, he say no any country totally abolishes subsidy. True or true?
True. Not true.
Okay, so that's Nigeria is supposed to still be subsidizing.
So if you look at the history of subsidy itself, you don't totally, whether it's US, Canada, UK, they have subsidies in different forms.
Okay, but still, just to add to that,
Yeah.
Emir now said that to do subsidy, Nigeria has to borrow to fund it. So that he has always been, they should remove the subsidy, that the money can be put into somewhere else. So what do you think of that?
I'm with Emir Sanusi on subsidy removal.
Okay.
I think I'm also with him on borrowing. Borrowing is not the problem. The problem with borrowing is if we can't see the outcome of the borrowing. For instance, you go back, you say, I beg, maybe now give me $10,000. The bank will ask you, what do you want to do with this? Oh, I want to put it in a business. Okay. So if we give you and you put it in a business, how would you be able to pay back? Okay, so I forecast that in the first year I will make this money. And to make that money, I'll produce this X number. This is how I will market it. Then the bank will say, okay, fine. Well, give us a plan. They will review your plan. They will probably, if they are not very sure, right, they'll give you training. Assign somebody to work with you. And they will be working with you on the basis of plan, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be that plan. So when you then take the money, they are able to say, yeah, well, you say you will do X, Y, Z. You don't do them. If you never do them, the next money no will come out. They will hold it back. You make the corrections, you make all those corrections. In the public sector, that is totally absent. Some big boys just decide we need the loan. The big boys will decide that. Once they decide, say, okay, we need loan, they go for the loan.
Now, but that's the thing now. If they go for this loan, like this process now, we just take us through. They go ask you, what do you want to use them for? How you hope to make this money back? How you hope to pay us? Don't they do that inside the public sector?
You know, they happen now. When the money come, you ask the question, okay, since 1999 to date, if anyone will do the audit of our debt and the infrastructure and do a match, honestly, I'll pray for that person till I die. To be able to say, okay, this is the total debt that we have collected since 1999 to date. And these are the projects, and you can point to the projects. Look, again, don't take my words for it, but if you can spare some time, go to the World Bank, just World Bank alone, and do a download of their reports on projects that have been funded by World Bank loan, and come back and discuss the percentage of them that the World Bank itself scores as successful or performing well. It's that bad. So collecting debt is not a problem. But when debt gets stolen, in addition to the resources that is generated as our own internal generated revenue, then we are in a crisis, because that's what is happening.
Okay, so these people now, they borrow us this money, or we they go borrow this money. Nobody, they watch and they make us they accountable for the money we borrow.
Don't forget, this thing a commercial contract too. You come, you want borrow money. You will give us interest now. How you do the money for those guys? They don't care.
I want to make them pay back with the interest.
And they know that you have to pay back, because they have controls too in terms of how they can hold your assets globally and get their money back. So on the side of the creditors, how you do the money, not be their own wahala. They will just put in the place that, can you report for it? Yes. Now, the responsibility for holding government accountable to ensure that they actually spend the money wisely and it benefits the people is now left to us. Us, who were never part of discussing the debt. Those of us who do not have access to the details of the debt. The creditors will transfer that responsibility to us to hold our government's account. But when we go to the creditors and say, can you give us details of this debt? They'll say, talk to your government. When you go to government, give us details to show that the $22 million that you signed with this creditor, you are supposed to use it to produce roads. Can we have access to that? What do we hear? They tell you that, no, you don't have right to that information. For a government that is acting on the behalf of the people and at the same time taking loan on the behalf of the people, then turning around to say that you don't have right to access the details of that. But at the same time, when when
the
situation red finished, they will say, the creditors will say, Nigerians are not interested in holding their government to account. How can you hold the government to account when I don't have the details of the budget? Because the negotiation was basically between government and the creditors.
But still, when Falana still talk on top of the matter, they don't remove subsidy, he still points fingers, saying Nigeria needs to start saying no to IMF and World Bank. Say like them, they push most of these policies on us, and then they make us take these policies. Do you agree? And this not be the first time. We don't hear many times they say, now IMF and World Bank, they say make we common subsidy. Now then they talk, say make they increase tax. And then are they right?
I think that we sometimes arrogate too much power to our international partners. They have a say in our policy direction, right? But ultimately, we take responsibility for whatever policy direction or policy decision we take. So it can't be a situation of, oh, now IMF, now World Bank. Did we vote for IMF? No. Did Nigerians vote for World Bank? Absolutely not. We voted for a president, National Assembly, that runs our affairs. So whatever and however they then decide to engage, the World Bank and the IMF, it's their problem. But they have to take responsibility for that. Now, the debt crisis that is looming, because many of them would prefer to say that no, it's not a crisis. How do you define crisis? I mean, they are throwing all manner of questions around in a situation where 90+% of our revenues is going to debt servicing. That's more than crisis. That's more than crisis. But where I'm going with all of this is to say that the administration must be bold enough to take responsibility that it is our decision to take the debt. That's first one. Second, I think that they should understand the social contract they have with Nigerians. We take this debt on the behalf of Nigerians. Because when President Tinubu would leave, IMF will not run after him. None of our creditors will go after him. They will come after Nigeria. It is you and I that ultimately will have to pay. So they owe Nigerians the responsibility to ensure that debt decisions, right, when taken, is to the benefit and in the best interest of Nigerians living and yet to be born. If that cannot be prioritized, if that cannot be at the center of debt decision, I think all the debts that we have taken so far is just political move, and Nigerians should rise up against it.
Right. Next one now. Oga President, the presidency came out like last month to talk, say that August now last month, they don't meet the revenue target of 2025. And so they know they borrow again within. They are not borrowing locally, no more borrowing from local banks. But like a week or two after, National Assembly gave them carry go to borrow abroad. So people now come they wonder, say, sorry, what does if we don't meet up our revenue targets and we know they borrow inside, so what would they borrow outside for? What does it really mean, and what will be the advantage and disadvantage of this seeming confusion?
We are in a point. I won't answer that question directly. Okay, globally, we're at a point where alternative truth is now accepted
That's true.
as truth.
What are the alternative truths?
When Trump will talk something and he will say, no, that is not what
That's not what I meant.
not what I mean.
They misunderstand.
Or data is telling us something, and the president or politicians say something else, and they say, no, what you are saying is wrong. So we are in an age of alternative truthing. All right. And I'd have loved to leave it
At that.
at that. But honestly, you cannot run a society on falsehood. Falsehood that is then roped in. We are all playing politics. It's dangerous for the society. Falsehood that is sustained over a period of time begins to appear as truth, even to the person who is telling the lie. And I think that is one of the biggest worries for me, that governments at all levels lie without restraint. Without restraint. It is dangerous. We may look at it as, well, it's just lying. But what it does is that it breaks, continuously and very slowly what holds us together as a people, right, and as a society. What holds us as a society is first love, trust in one another. Now, if every moment a government or a public representative of government spews lies, it destroys the society. We may not see it in one day, in 1 week, in 1 month, but it ultimately destroys society. So I'm not surprised when the Emir also said that we have been unlucky with, our leaders in this country.
Right from time, lousy leaders.
Yes,
we get from
it's
Nigeria.
it's part of this thing that our leaders never actually commit to holding themselves to the highest level of integrity that is required of the position that they hold. And why this is important is this. Let me digress and use an example. So when my son was less than a year old, I'd already been saying that in this house, I'm a Yoruba man. In this house, you greet as a proper Yoruba man, which means when you wake up in the morning and you see your dad, you go flat. When you see your mom, you go flat as a man, as a boy. When you are a girl, you see your dad, you kneel down to greet him. You see your mom, you kneel down to greet him. And I wanted to set that as a rule. Then, for about a month, my dad visited us. Okay. And I was showing example. My dad is, as we speak, now 86, right? And I will see him in the morning. I'll go flat, already married with 4 kids. I'll go flat for my kids to see it. So when my son will walk past me and not do what I have been able to not only say, but also exemplify to him, he knows what to expect. And the same thing with the girls. Okay. So that is leading by example. That is what is missing in this country. We have leaders who believe, first, they are above the law. And so they get to the traffic and boom, goes. It has become a subconscious part of us that the traffic is there as decoration, not to control traffic. And if you choose to be respectable and responsible citizen and stop by the red light, this has happened to me before.
Okay.
I stopped. The vehicle that was behind me honked. I didn't move. Then went back, reversed, stopped for me to see it was a car, and then did and drove away. That's because the leaders have shown that you don't need to stop by the traffic. Our leaders are telling us that you can only succeed in Nigeria by falsifying and becoming an expert lie. Governance will not become effective in this country as long as falsehood is what holds our governance together.
Bringing us to this talk now, we just talk. Emir say Nigeria no get luck for leaders. It can't go further to mention, say, if you check Sena climes, they talk about development, they talk about climate issues. So, but if you come Nigeria, just like talk where they talk, we say they talk about tribe, say they talk about religion. Sometimes you go sit down when you see other leaders, you come the one that say, no be leader be this. You can't look on, you can't say, now we choose this one. This one can't bring me to the question that if you ask, like if you take a sample of maybe 10 Nigerians now, they talk, say, oh, now you vote this government, and now you vote these leaders. At least 7, 8 go say, I no vote am, I no vote am, I no. So the leaders we have, is it on us or is it on the system?
I think both is correct. It's both on us and on the system. And I will explain it. So by the system, I mean the entirety of the government, the people, as part of the people as Nigerians, regular voters, and the structures that we have put in place, the laws, the INEC as part of that. So all of those constitute the system. If all of us cannot work cohesively towards a common goal, which is that we would like to make our electoral system transparent, credible, trusting, right? That is what the system in its entirety is supposed to do. So if that system is not working, um, you know, cohesively and collectively towards that common goal, it becomes a failure of the system. So that's why I say both this part of the system as a part of the explanation, but also on us as being part of the system. That as part of the system, if elements of the system are dysfunctional, right?
Yeah.
Those, we can't fold our hands and expect the system to self-correct. So you and I, as part of the system, you remember I clustered us into three:
True.
voters, government, then the structures and the infrastructures and all of that. We can do further breakdown of that. Now, if government as the other element is dysfunctional, then the structure, the laws are dysfunctional. But you and I, the voters, also decide, I beg, I've given up on it. We are also a part of the problem.
Okay, but what if the Nigerians are trying, the voters are trying, but it's like they are like as we talk these three now, you also just said something earlier now, say our leaders, they're not they lead by example, and it's like they have more of the power than even the voters where they more. So if you the voters are more, but the power not in your hand. Not be say you know they try, not be say you know they do your own part. It just be say in not same say they work for you. So how is it the voters' fault? How are they to blame?
Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without demand.
Are they not been demanding? The call for change.
So
doing protests.
Okay.
And sorry to say, people even getting killed, getting jailed for it. You will come to protest, there will be anti-protest against your own protest. You know, all that. So is the system not actually rigged against the ordinary citizen?
No, but historically, that's how it is.
So because what do we do?
So I think I will be naive to start thinking, okay, because we've struggled for 5 years, for 50 years, and things have not changed, and therefore the only thing we can do is all of us to start thinking about relocating to Ghana, relocating. That's not the solution, because what Nigeria is passing through is not peculiar to Nigeria. It has happened historically in several other countries. But the uprising of the people ultimately is what has changed it. What changed the course of France is the French Revolution. What changed the course of Germany? All of these countries that we all look at today, do you think it was the leaders that just decided, oh, we are going to get things right? No, that is what power does. And the reason why I started with Frederick Douglass' point that power concedes nothing without a demand. So ultimately, it's in the hands of Nigerians to try and fix the system.
How?
So I wish I know all of the hows, or how the hows can also be activated and happen. But the truth is, you know, when you look at what happened between what culminated in the transition in 1999, it was a series of struggle against military rule before we had democracy. At that period in time, a lot of Nigerians rose up, struggled against military rule. People died. People were exiled. People were jailed. Some ran away out of, for their own safety. But ultimately, after 25 years of successive struggles, Nigeria finally had democracy. I think it would be wrong for anyone to drop their arms and hope that military will come and save the day. If anyone is thinking military will save the day, you're fooling yourself. It will be worse than what you are currently experiencing. Military rule in Nigeria historically has never brought development to Nigeria, and tomorrow will not bring development, will not bring peace, will not bring safety to Nigerians. It will just be a transfer of power from one bad government to a lack of better one, probably a worse one. So we cannot at this point franchise or transfer the struggle for our freedom to any proxy, whether military or any form. Nigerians ultimately must rise. We've been here before. We must rise and engage in the process legally. If we have to go to courts, if we have to protest, if we have to write, these are the things that are legitimately permitted under our current democracy. And Nigerians should explore all of these options and stretch the system to a point where it begins to respond to them. We cannot, on the strength of our experience during NSAS, our experience doing protests against bad governance, our experience during Occupy Nigeria 2012, and give up that with pride. No. The beauty of today's Nigeria and today's world is the fact that we are more connected than we ever have been. Oh, yes. Maybe we will have that conversation outside the studio.
Yes,
But the globe is more connected than ever before. What that says to me every time I think about it is that we have the power for solidarity more than ever, but in a different form. The solidarity, in my opinion, that the forerunners for an independent Nigerian had within Africa is a critical factor that drove, the end of colonialism, and brought about independence and galvanized independent movement across Africa. That solidarity today has stronger enablers. Oh, yes. The fact that we are connected more than ever, we can mobilize our resources more efficiently than ever. We can democratize information sharing. We can democratize news making, more than ever. So we just need to step back and take an audit where we were, what we did back then, the challenges that we continue to face, and what we need to do differently. But I have hope that democracy in Nigeria has come to stay.
So just two questions before we go. I'm going to say you have hope. I have a colleague where they always talk, say, you no get hope for this Nigeria again. And you just said you have hope. So you really think, say, make we keep the hope alive, say Nigeria go better. Let's see Nigeria go survive, Nigeria go better. You actually believe it.
I believe so. And there are so many reasons that gives me that confidence. A disintegrated Nigeria is a more dangerous Nigeria. The youngest country globally, is South Sudan.
Okay.
South Sudan is a total mess, for lack of a better word. It's a country that is significantly homogeneous. So homogeneity does not guarantee.
What is homogeneous for my listeners?
If you look at the country now, religious-wise, they are mostly, almost everybody in South Sudan is Christians. Oh yes, they are Christians. That's why they wanted to break away from Sudan itself, that was significantly Islamic. So being mostly Christians, you would think that, we all worship the same God, we worship the same way, we say, we pay obeisance and respect to the same God, we read from the same Bible, that should keep us together. Of course, they have their diversity in terms of ethnicity and all the rest, but that is one country that is, in terms of religion, most homogeneous. That has not kept them. So when you then say, okay, let the Yorubas go, they are not homogeneous. In fact, whenever I talk about it, I say that if state creation has not made us safer, breaking or disintegrating Nigeria will not make us safer. we have created more states than the ones that I met as a young boy, right? But rather than take us towards more being socially cohesive, more collaborative, instead, each time what has happened is that the moment you create a new state, I mean, I was still discussing this point with a friend yesterday who said once Imo State was created in part from the old Anambra State, the new administration there sacked everyone with Imo State's origin. They sacked everybody. So if you think that fragmenting Nigeria will make us safer, you have to think twice. It's not going to happen. We have created Kebbi State from old Sokoto State. What has happened? We created Jigawa from partly Kano State. What has happened? We've created Gombe from old Adamawa, Gongola rather, and Adamawa. What has happened? All of those things have not taken us a step further in terms of our development outcome.
True.
It has not made us more cohesive as a society. It has not ensured that the distribution of resources is more equal, and it hasn't happened.
So not be breaking up,
Not be breaking up.
not be creating new state be
Not be
our
creating
issue.
new
So
states.
wetin be our issue? How do we get it?
Our issue is that we have problems which every country will have, which every family will have, every human being will have problems. But we are not solving those problems. It's like the conversation around tax that I've had to mention to people. The problem with our system is not the revenue side alone. We can make it is what you also do with the money. So if 60-70% of the money gets stolen, you now say, okay, let's generate more, right? That 60% will grow with what you are generating. So you generate more, the appetite to steal will also grow because there is more money now. So the problem with us is not just the tax system. If you fix the tax system ultimately, brilliant laws, brilliant provisions, it has its own problems, right, will likely get us to get more money. But as long as those mouths that are there to suck the resources are still there, the appetite will grow because they can now see more money. So if they used to steal 10% out of a budget, they say 10%, let's raise that to 40%. So that's the problem. And this is an issue that I think we have consistently talked about. If you don't fix corruption, it doesn't matter what you do with revenue generation. Corruption will suck it. Because what corruption does is it raises a class of citizenry that do not see strength in productivity, in anything productive venture. They don't see it. They are only interested in rent seeking, rent taking, and that's what they do. All right. So you are raising a generation of politicians that sees going into politics as the shortest route to access. You are seeing contractors who see partnering or contracting with government as opportunity to make money and not to contribute to development. So kudos to the government for the new tax law.
Okay.
But the bigger part of the work that has to be done, the government has never made a statement on it, which a concrete statement, which is how do you tackle corruption in this country? A princess, under this administration, how much did they sign for contract for the annual budget appropriation for 2025? I think it was about 52 trillion. Mm-hmm. This administration alone, in the last 3 years, has budgeted, I think, 52, 40 plus. Then I think they inherited 20 something plus. So they've basically administered over 100 trillion. Throwing 100 trillion. This is not borrowed money. They've budgeted and thrown in 100 trillion. into this economy. And Nigerians are still asking, where is that 100 trillion? How many companies have, have we been able to raise? How many small, medium economies, businesses or enterprises have been able to pick up as a result of the 100 trillion thrown into it? How many what's it called? Mango drying companies have arisen as a result of this? How many tomato company, crushing or conversion or processing company have we been able to create? How many shoe making company have we been able to create with 100 trillion thrown into this economy? So the answer is corruption.
Finally, how do we tackle? Because that is every government comes and says we go tackle corruption, we go tackle corruption. So how do we pursue this corruption?
Some administrations have shown us possibility of evidence of what is possible.
Like,
Under the Buhari administration, there were some pockets of successes. We had some laws. No, don't crucify me, princess. This because we can't say everything is totally bad or something.
Good. Okay, so what is good?
So let's take a example of ICPC under the former head, Professor Bolaji Owasongi. The man led several brilliant and commendable efforts. The whistleblowing policy that he started made some initial progress and then stalled. The man started asset recovery that was also making some progress, and then politics stalled it. There were several other progress made around beneficial ownership, introduction of procurement.
Okay, Ogada, somebody said I cut you. You don't plenty points, but see what you call here. None of them start or finish or anything. So that's the thing. The corruption they try fight am, but the thing they fight back,
No,
and the say they overpower.
Princess, when corruption fights back, the biggest number one enabler na government.
But what this government comes up and say we they try fight am, we go pursue corruption.
So that's the point. So let me put it this way. If you get the head of an agency fighting corruption with all his might, and his principal, the president, is not supporting, then that one is definitely going to fail.
Okay, so following by this, will we ever pursue corruption from Nigeria?
If we Nigerians, right, also rise against it, because that's the point I made at the very beginning. We cannot leave it to one person to drive it. Nigerians will have to be part of this.
Now, where we go wrap up the curtain, so Gajayo, do you like to go continue outside? Yes, day where we need to discuss 30 more questions.
No, Wahala,
I don't confuse.
I did ground.
And for you, my wonderful listener, don't worry, when I know the no, me go carry and come back and come give to you. But thank you so much, Dayo Olaide, for stopping by. I had a wonderful time with you today. In a few days, we're going to celebrate Independence Anniversary. What do you get to tell Nigerians?
Nigerians should not allow the current situation that we are facing take away their joy of nationhood. I think we should just continue to celebrate nationhood, not government, but the fact that we still have a nation, and we continue to, inch by inch, have how we want that nation to look like. So that would be my word to Nigerians. Don't give up because of one administration, but rather look at the big picture. We have a nation, and we have responsibility to build that nation.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's always a pleasure.
Celebrate nationhood. Celebrate nationhood. Like he still talks. Say make we not the thing to divide, no the thing to separate. Say the fact say we even get Nigeria, we dey united. Now one of the big things then we will get. And small by small, hope day we will get better. And one day, we'll get the Nigeria we will find. And this now where we'll close curtain on top inside Nigeria this morning. But don't forget, stay with you on top all social media platforms at CHRICED Radio TV. And if you continue to go there, check all of our reports then. The big thing that when they come for front we supposed to start today, stay tuned to the stations, make people know how you will take get your own part of the giveaway. My name na Princess Aniana. Join me again, same time, same station, another beautiful edition of Inside Niger tomorrow. But for now, more programs coming up on the station.